Max Marcellus. Right now.
Into this, Marcellus, according to TMZ, Steve Nash and his wife divorce situation. Then Nash's attorney produced an email that Alejandra, his ex-wife, supposedly sent to a third party in which it appears Alejandra discusses a plot to trap Nash into paying child support. The email reads, quote, I understand you're right about the law.
Yeah,
I'm arguing against the law itself.
Okay, yeah, me and you agree on that point. They should change the law.
My position is we are moving to California because our children's father is there. I believe the school is a great fit for them. I can't buy a home unless we get child support. Plan is to move to California, wait 6 months, then get court involved in child support. Hold on, sweetheart. He gave you $5 million.
Sound like a lump sum payment.
And you can't afford a house without child support? $5 million. So let's say she already spent $1 million because they just got divorced.
Damn, $1 million already?
Let's just say she went through $1 million. She got $4 million left. Let's say it's $3.5 million left because it was almost $5 million. So who says she has to come to L.A. and live in Beverly Hills?
Right.
Get a job like everyone else. Maybe you go to the Valley. Not everyone gets to live in a mansion in Beverly Hills.
Well, she could get a $3 million home in L.A. for putting only $600,000 down. And guess
what? She's going to say, what do I live on? Because she doesn't want to have a job.
Well, do you invest the other $3.4 million and you get 10% of that $340 and that's your mortgage?
Go get a nice $750,000 house in the Valley. Go get
I'm trying to make her happy.
Yeah, fine, make her happy. $1.2 million house in the Valley somewhere with a swimming pool, and you bank the rest. You live forever. The only reason, if you already got $5 million,
that's the garage. What you mean?
The only you get
where
you got $1.2 million in the Valley.
Ranch?
You get a pool.
A
2,500 square foot, 3-4 bedroom house with a pool.
Home.
Hold on. The only reason you think if you got $5 million you need child support to live in L.A. is if you think you should live like a movie star. She's not a movie star, and she's not married to the MVP anymore.
But she was, and Max, that affords her some privileges.
Only legally. Morally, no.
No,
legally,
of course.
Yes.
Oh,
right.
we are.
So I have an ethical, a moral problem with this, with divorce law. So I was trying to hammer out a prenup with my then fiance, now wife.
Mm-hmm. You and Aaron trying to talk it out before you do it, huh?
We were in Cape Cod on vacation at the time, and
bad setup.
She says, I want a cheating clause. I said, okay, what do you want in the cheating clause?
She said that to you?
Yeah.
So she already knew what she was getting into?
She said, what do you want in the cheating clause? The only one I cheat with is my girlfriend, Mary.
Yeah,
it's not really cheating.
She know what Mary make you cheat with.
We have an open relationship. Her, me, and Mary.
She know about them Vegas fights.
So
Jim Lampley.
So
HBO.
I said, okay, 50. She says, how much do you? I said, what do you want the clause to be? She goes, 50% if you're caught cheating. I said, 15%. Oh, so you plan on cheating? I'm like, no, but you never can tell. I don't want to get on the hook for 50%. Anyway, so we go back and forth. We're negotiating it back and forth, and eventually we don't come to an understanding. And I go to my dad and I say, Dad, Aaron, when I told him the situation, he goes, you know what I think she should get if you divorce? How much, Dad? 100%.
What was his ground?
He's on her side.
But why?
I don't know. He loves her.
That's old school.
So I realized maybe I shouldn't. That was it for me. No prenup. When my own family is on her side, it's like, all right, forget it.
Well, that makes you should feel good because that means your dad probably ain't swang on your mama because he's like, look, you don't do those type of things.
But it's not just that. It's, listen, if I got divorced from my wife, I want her to get everything. I could live okay, and as long as my kids.
Hold on, you will give 100%?
Why? I need to live.
So why Nash right now can't give?
Because
he don't want to?
The point is, it's my choice.
But Max,
let's say, for example,
the divorce have to be
Marcellus. Total hypothetical
mutual
situation. Let's say there's a player whose wife winds up cheating on him and having a kid with a teammate or something like that, right? Like hypothetical situation. And that's the reason for the divorce. Hypothetical situation. Mm-hmm. In that situation, do you think that player maybe doesn't want to give her so much money?
Oh, I know he doesn't.
Right, so in other words, they're extenuating circumstances.
Yeah, but you're moving the needle on the circumstances as if it's applicable in law.
Well, who knows what happened with them?
No, first of all, you can't use that as evidence. You can't use the email. Watch, that's not going to work. I'm telling you, Max, I've been through this process. You could try all you want to do character misjudgments and slander, whatever you want to do. All they're going to look at is how much do you make?
Right.
And they're going to say, what do these kids need?
Right. And the kids' needs, Your Honor, $5 million. If that was the case, then 99.9% of the people in this country wouldn't be allowed to have children because this woman got $5 million and she still needs more.
Time out, though. If you Prince Akeem and King Joffrey Joffer got divorced from Alon Leon,
your fortunes
guess
in
what?
life,
You ain't going to be broke.
Your fortunes in life change, and $5 million is far from broke.
Hold on. In comparison to your fortunes, not the fortunes of the rest of the world.
I don't care about how you experience it in a relative sense.
You don't?
No.
And this whole world is relative, and you don't care?
No.
Really?
$5 million is more. As a matter of fact, 500,000 is more than enough to get a job.
You the same
lady, get a job.
You're the same guy that was saying when you were thinking about moving, you were like, I gotta move something to something comparable to where I am right now. I said, why? Because my kids are already used to this lifestyle.
That's my own. This is America. That's my own personal choice about my children.
And it's also your personal choice to know the conditions when you get married.
And a court of law should have. That is absolutely not the government's business, in my opinion.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, government's too big.
Now,
to
if
you.
the kid is not, if the kid doesn't have enough to eat, if the kid is freezing to death, something like that. If the kid has no access to education, that's something. But as long as a kid isn't hungry, isn't freezing, has access to education, it's no one else's business.
What if the kid still wants to go to Harvard Westlake? That's going to cost you $30 a year.
Well,
and you got 2 kids. That's $60 a year.
Right.
What if your kids still want to live? They still want the same size bedroom, or at least the same kind of toys.
No.
Same home. Why do your kids have
because
to suffer because you and your mom don't get along?
Because your fortunes in life change. You're not guaranteed as a child to continue living the way you have always lived.
But you're guaranteed to have that Nash last name, so I should live that Nash lifestyle.
Not necessarily. No. Not if Nash, your father, decides that he doesn't want you to have that for various reasons.
He didn't decide that. First, he decided he didn't want your mama no more, or your mama didn't.
And he gave her $5 million, so you're all set. You're all straight.
I hate that because once you cross state lines, all of a sudden they could throw that out and say, "Oh, that's not enough."
Right. And that's another thing. California, the way they just ignore law, in contracts, it's an outrage. Yeah. California courts are just they stink.
You're right.
Stink.
Child support is horrible out here.
Linwood in L.A., you're on with Max and Marcellus, ESPN L.A.
Linwood, 944. Yes, Max, you're right. Man, I've gone through this here, and you're absolutely about this California court thing. It's brutal.
What's your area code?
944.
944?
That's 90044.
That's
your zip code. No wonder you went to court. I'll take you to court, too. Take all your money. You don't even know where you at.
Hey, look, man, I'm just tired. That's where I'm at. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
What's your zip code?
Boy, them kids are hurting.
Big dummy. It was hurt. Hey, man, it was hurt for a long time.
So, wait, what zip code? What area code are you repping right now?
323.
The 323.
You had to look at that rotary phone and find out.
Go ahead, Linwood. Go.
Yeah, the bottom line is you're right, Max. The whole court system, the bottom line, this woman is being greedy. Not to say that $5 million is enough, but the thing is, it's just like I can tell that Steve Nash loves his kids. I see that he make these trips back to Phoenix, in support of his children. And I was doing basically the same thing. This man is going above and beyond, what he should be paying, and I'm sure he's giving more than $5 million. Bottom line is, she's just been greedy.
Bottom line is, once someone hands you $5 million free dollars, shut up and never.
How is it free? And she shared a life with this guy. He said I do too. They both
she
said
didn't
I
have a
do.
life before she met him.
He knew her.
What did she quit? A $60,000 teller job somewhere? Okay, so here's 20 years of that. I mean, really, what was she? Was she like the most powerful attorney in Arizona when they met or something?
You know what?
Did she do?
She was fine, and beauty is priceless, and that's what he paid for, and that's why he's paying the consequences right now.
Apparently.
What they say? Everything with syrup ain't pancakes.
Nothing pushes my buttons like divorce law.
Everything with syrup on it ain't pancakes.
Max Marcellus, ESPN LA.
Give me half, Eddie. Give me half.
Max and Marcellus, we are the realest.
Yeah, we can talk real.
I'm talking real-ish. I'll give you the real-ish. I'll give you the real-ish.
You give me relish.
Max and Marcellus trying to keep it realish.
I give you the real-ish. 4 hours a day here on ESPN LA.
Man, for real talk.
Keep it realish.
Max and Marcellus. Now.
Nothing gets me crazier than divorce law, Marcellus. Steve Nash's wife, plotting to take him for more than the $5 million she already took him
plotting, like she hasn't contributed to this relationship.
Who cares about the relationship? It's over now.
Yeah, exactly. But
and by the way,
guess what? There's still residual effects from that relationship, and some of them are animate objects.
Yeah, and she got $5 million, and that's more than enough to take care of them.
Give me half, Eddie.
It depends on the pool of money that exists.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
No, it's an absolute.
Because if they stayed together, guess what? That pool of money was shared.
Yeah, but they're not together, so lots of things in the kid's life changes, including the fact that they don't see. Why is it okay for this to change? mommy's now with another man. That's much more traumatic than mommy only has $5 million instead of $50 million.
Yeah, but I don't know.
Why is that okay?
I don't know what Nash has made in his career, but let me just guess.
Let's call it 50.
That's
It's probably 100. But
I would hope 100.
Yeah.
All right, we can say 50. If it's 50, it's 10%.
Right.
If it's 100, it's 5%. Let's say this.
It's the most absurd. This is the most absurd argument people make. I don't understand it at all.
Talk about what is the most difficult task in life? Most difficult job in life? Taking care of some take care of some kids, and it's not considered a job. But there is, and you get no pay for it. There's no W-4. There's no pay stub. But that is by far of all things I've done. I play football, and I'm over here talking for a living. You give me a kid for 24 hours, I'm looking at you like, what else can I do in life?
And everyone listening to you right now is thinking, and if someone gave me $5 million,
but
boy,
if
I'd be all
someone,
straight.
whatever it is about that lady Alejandra that made Steve Nash say, I'm going to bring you into my $50 to $100 million world and have children with you. Now, she can't be reduced to a number that you think.
By the way, I find that argument not only completely illogical, but actually obnoxious.
How?
Because the far more important
you give him more credit and credence that he makes jump shots than that she raises kids.
No. The far more important issue psychologically for a kid is not that mommy is only in the 1% instead of the 0.1% in terms of wealth in this country. The far more important issue is where's daddy psychologically, unconscious.
Right.
Oh, there's another man where my daddy used to be.
How do you know she's with another man? You don't know that.
Come on,
and
Marcellus.
how do you know she's being greedy?
She's going to be celibate for the rest of her life. She's
Hold
going to have
on, but how do you know she's being greedy with the money, too? We got to just use things.
She got $5 million. You don't need more than $5 million.
But she's
taking advantage of absurd laws. That's all it is.
But
I don't blame her for taking advantage of them, but that's what she's doing. Just like when LeBron flops, it's the same thing. Yep. The law should be changed, just like that rule should be changed. But the laws
haven't changed, so let's stay in reality.
No. What I'm saying is every time this issue comes up, there should be intense pressure on the courts to change the law. On politicians, on every part of the system that's sensitive to pressure, people should exert pressure to change this blatantly unfair law.
It's amazing to me that you have more issue and emotion with this than some of the people that I've known have had large divorce settlements. Yeah. We even had Michael Strahan on here. He said, I'm not tripping on it. Yeah. Money gone.
I was tripping for Michael.
I know. You trip harder than the people who are writing these big paychecks.
And by the way, I have two daughters, and if they ever marry some rich guy and they don't, well, then my daughters won't be that way. But if they were good
you don't want them to marry somebody rich?
No, but they won't be that way like, I'm going to marry someone rich, and then if I ever get divorced, I get half their stuff.
What if they get wronged? They feel. What if they feel?
I'm always rooting for my daughters to come off. Don't get me wrong.
Want your daughters
but the point is, the laws shouldn't exist in a way that can be.
Yeah, right.
Here's the bottom line.
Yelling like you.
The bottom line is this. The dumbest argument I hear made about this, which I can't believe you're making now, is that the kids still live that lifestyle when they're with daddy. Mommy is not daddy. Life has changed. People have to deal with this every day. And it's not like mommy's poor. She got $5 million.
You trying to create disparity in the kids' lives and think that I won't have a psychological.
Of course, there's disparity in the kids' life. When you're in different situations, there's a difference.
Inequalities and inadequacies between the two parents.
We're not. Of course, are you insisting on some kind of absurd situation where both parents must be exactly the same? They're different. They have different personalities.
That's called marriage. In that marriage, there was a uniform
and they're
respect.
no longer married.
Yeah, but now you're going to change that uniform respect?
Uniform respect.
You saying go to daddy's house and you got toys. You go to mommy's house, you ain't got nothing to play with?
$5 million, you ain't got nothing to play with?
In respect, in relative to daddy.
It's perfectly fine if the kids know that one parent is richer than the others. It's not that one is in poverty and the other is wealthy. It's that one is more wealth than the other. There's nothing wrong with that.
And I have no problems with that. But the problem with you saying,
She
Max,
thinks she's entitled to live in Beverly Hills and blah, blah. No, she's not.
Or
apparently she is.
Who she married gives her permission to go.
Unfortunately, legally in California it does. That's why the California laws should be changed.
That's why she ain't trying to marry you.
Ramil in Orange County. You're on with Max and Marcellus. We all steamed up.
This is Ramil.
Go ahead. What's your area code? What are you repping?
I'm repping Long Beach, California, boys.
What's your area code?
Area code is 562,
so
gentlemen.
You're repping the 562. Go.
Repping the 562, and let me just tell you, Max, it pains me nothing more than to be agreeing with you on this subject, my friend.
Yes.
No, I bet every man that calls here going to say the same stuff. Keep going.
Oh, man. Marcellus, you've never been more in the wrong.
Man, I'm the one on this show with the money.
He's just playing devil's advocate, by the way. He agrees with me, but go ahead.
I pay every month. You ain't telling me nothing new.
I agree with you, Max. These children, listen, they are under the age of 18. Nothing gives them the right to just say what they want in life and just get whatever they want in life. They get what their parents give them. And if their parents got divorced, guess what? One of them isn't rich and one of them's poor. And she ain't poor. Just like Max said, she's making $5 million off this divorce. And it's probably going to be more because of the legal system in California.
What would it even be wrong? Let's say she was making $62,000 a year. You know how many people raise 2 kids on $62,000 a year, and they do a good job, and the kids wind up happy, and you wind up with all the the video games. You want
why
everything.
is that your baseline? What other people are going through? She's married.
She's not married to him anymore.
But who brought who into whose world?
I don't know. They brought each other into each other's world.
You know the world that exists is the one who has the most money.
No,
what?
Says you.
Yes or no?
Says you.
Really?
Yeah.
So if somebody has $1 million and I'm broke, we gonna go around and be on the bus, or we gonna have a car?
I don't know. It's up to you.
Stop. Now you just don't want to.
No. This is America, man. The individual makes those choices.
Marcellus, correct me if I'm wrong here.
You're wrong.
People make decisions in life. We make decisions every single day in everything that we do. And she's making a decision. She got $5 million, so she has a decision to make with what she's going to do with that $5 million. I work in the medical field, and I get people that come into my office every single day, and that little kid's got an iPhone in his hand, and he's got an iPod in his hand, and the second that it comes to talk to that parent about paying the bill, they're like, oh, we can't afford it. I'm like, you can't afford it? Your kid just told me he got an Xbox 360, and I'm looking at an iPod.
We're a very wealthy country. And by the way, if she was unemployed and she was in a stage in her life where she couldn't get work and she needed to help her, she needs to raise her family. I understand the court saying, Steve Nash, you make X amount of dollars until she is in a better financial position. Mm-hmm. You also don't want it to be a disincentive to her working, incidentally. But until you have to pay X amount of dollars, and that should be tied to a standard of living, which is not equivalent to his in any way, shape, or form, but simply is a standard of living that meets a certain criteria, where the kids have enough to eat, they have access to education, clothing, etc. Whatever that is, $52,000, $100,000 a year if he can afford it. Okay, fine, if it's 2 or 3 kids. And it should really be capped at that for a certain number of years. And after that, if she can't afford to take care of them, he should get custody if he wants it. Yeah. I mean, look, this is absurd.
Well, I understand and I respect
get a job.
Your reformation of the law, but we live in reality, and all our decisions still live under the umbrella and jurisdiction of the law.
Right, and the law is asinine in this case.
Well, I would say this, Max.
Moron came up with this law. I'd like to get the moron judge who came up with this law.
I'm a loser in this.
That judge must be.
I'm a loser in this process because I've been paying child support for 14 years right now. And
think about that.
What? Now,
does your ex have a job?
No.
You pay
because she's making enough for me.
That's the point. That shouldn't. Now, if that's your decision,
they ain't took a dollar from me that I've missed because I keep making
Marcellus.
And when I don't make it, guess what they do? They adjust the number.
That's fine, and that should be your decision.
Because that's my daughter.
Now, did you and your ex have an agreement when you had these kids that she would be a stay-at-home mom?
No.
Well, in that case, what is she doing without a job?
She take care of my daughter. And so
if
that's
great. Something that you two come up with on your own, that's fine. But for the state to sanction that, to say since she married an athlete once upon a time, even though they and you guys never got married.
No, we not even got married. That's just child support.
This athlete should support the kids to such an extent that the woman never has to get a job if she doesn't want. It's absurd.
Yeah, but I knew that.
The sense of entitlement's absurd.
I knew that going into it, Max, and that's on
right.
her.
In other words, you knew the unfairness of the law.
I knew the consequences
going into it.
Yeah,
but that doesn't change the fact that the law is absurd.
I totally agree with you, brother.
All right. We'll take a few more calls on this, and let's get back to Phil Jackson. My blood is boiling over
this. Yeah, you over here make me want to go call my baby mama.
Hit this woman with $5 million, and she's still looking for more.
You better get a job, girl. Raising my daughter ain't no job.
I'm going to propose to Steve Nash right now. I want to marry Steve Nash.
Ain't nothing wrong. We'll
adopt some kids. I'll divorce them. I'll get $5 million. Max and Marcellus, ESPN LA.
Max and Marcellus.
How much information I have in my head. I understand. I know politics, history, sports, hip-hop, popular literature. How much stuff can I keep in my head?
Won't you move rap up the pecking order and drop some of that because it's not relevant?
ESPN LA 710.
Right.
Art Hum is not going to help you on this show right now.
No, that's true.
Knowing where Too Short is, where you from?
A little bit better.
Here are the guys.
All worked up about this divorce thing with Steve Nash. His ex-wife, who already got $5 million according to TMZ,
you happily married?
wants more. She didn't get enough.
Because he got more.
got nothing to do with each other anymore. They have kids.
Yeah, they do. They got kids. How you gonna say they ain't got nothing to do with each other? Then they got kids.
Because $5 million. Just because you marry a rich guy doesn't make you entitled for life to his money. It's an absurd proposition.
Hold on.
I don't know
if your
why you're
daddy ain't
arguing
the 1% and your mama not, guess what? Daddy, you got to pull your weight.
No, because they're not married anymore.
Mama's
going to marry some new guy or have a relationship with some new guy. It's got nothing to do with
Steve Nash. Or maybe she's
going
to take her focus in on her kids. And
that's fine for her. $5 million is more than almost everyone on planet Earth has.
So why does
she needs more?
Steve Nash makes more.
Yes, he makes more. He has to continue to work for it.
And he
she
also
does not.
brought her into
Why
that
are you
umbrella.
arguing this position? I know you don't believe it.
I don't believe it, but I mean, it'd be no fun if we just say, yeah. And then what we going to talk about?
Bob in Thousand Oaks. What are we going to talk about then, Bob?
805 area code.
There you go.
Rep it, Bob.
Go ahead, Bob.
Yes.
Come on, Bob.
There's a different point of view here, if you will, representing some of the guys who, not unlike myself, have been in the situation that you, Max, have described. One where you give everything to your ex-wife and progeny because you're more capable of fending your way in this pretty rough world financially where they may not be.
That's why I agree that they should get something, but it should be capped.
Well, you say capped. That's an individual thing. That's conditions and circumstances and individually. Frankly, that kind of personal choice and the vagaries involved really should point us in a different direction, which is that we have to use lawyers in these matters.
Right.
You find contract teachers in law school admitting that contracts have been written in Old English only because that differentiates their knowledge from yours. If it was plain language, we could do it ourselves. It's a bit of an oversimplification.
But I understand. Without getting too technical, there are common sense guidelines. What's the standard for poverty? You double it or triple it, whatever it is. And if the woman still can't find work for whatever reason, or the man can't find work if the woman's the rich one, then okay, you have to support them until they can at some reasonable level of at least the working class or better. But to be entitled forever to this guy's money because you had kids with him, and especially after she has $5 million. What is she kidding? It's absurd. The laws that enable this sort of thing to happen are absurd. Daddy's richer than mommy. It's fine if the kids know that.
You're talking about a professional athlete who makes gobs of
What does that have to do with how much he gives her, how much he makes? If she has enough, she needs more because he has more? No, they're not married anymore.
Your standards are intelligent, but if I may, unintelligent in terms of the fact that it's morality that really has to dictate here.
Morality, you're saying?
If you're saying the law is wrong, you're just setting up a different kind of law that would apply to others who wouldn't necessarily agree with you.
Oh, he smoked you, Max.
He
just smoked you. Stutter.
I'm setting up a nuke. No, I'm saying I'm actually more libertarian leaning with some restrictions here than trying to impose a restrictive law.
Get him, Bob.
I'm saying it's fine to say men have, for various reasons, chauvinistic, cultural reasons, etc., are more able or there are fewer barriers to them finding employment, getting paid for the same job. I agree with all that stuff. And so something should be done for the woman and the kids, obviously, and the kids shouldn't be starving or undereducated or anything like that, but at a certain level. I mean, you figure out what that level is, but just because if Bill Gates, who has $50 billion, gets divorced, and his wife comes away with $500,000, then she can go get a job. I mean, this is so hard to understand. Well, why should the kids see daddy so much richer than mommy? Because there are disparities in wealth, and there are different circumstances when you. I don't even understand the logic that the kids are accustomed to a certain standard of living with daddy, so it should be the equivalent with mommy. It makes no sense. They're not together anymore.
Max, you're talking about Steve Nash and Bill Gates. If you want to talk logic, let's leave them where they belong, way outside the box.
I agree with that. That's why you're right. When you're talking about working people, normal people, you're right. Once upon a time, men could skate on child support. The kid that left the woman and the kids in a very bad position. And for many, the law applies in a more reasonable way. But when you're talking about wealthy people, it's absurd. She got $5 million. She should never be entitled to another dime of Steve Nash's. $5 million is way more than she deserved. They're not married anymore. And she's looking for more? He gave her $5 million. She's looking for more free money out of the sky. Someone please give me $5 million. I promise I won't look for more.
How about this? Why don't you give Bob some free food? You ain't give him langers for that.
Mike in Sherman Oaks.
He smoked you.
Hey, this is Mike in the 818.
Yeah, Mike.
Okay. Well, you both have good points, but Max, yours is much, much better. and make sense. Marcellus,
Yeah, right.
I commend you for being a stand-up guy. But let's take statistics real fast.
Stand-up guy. I fell down in child support court, and I still pay every month.
They knock you down, but listen to most.
It's all right. I'm still
most
standing.
Athletes go broke. NFL the quickest after they get out of the sport, then basketball, then baseball. So it's not like there's a gravy train for athletes all the time, but you guys are the biggest targets. Now,
no doubt. By the way, child support's driven more fighters broke than promoters.
And fighters also, for sure.
Nobody told you to lay down with that girl.
Well, the point is there should be a standard. You take some quality of life index, right?
Right.
This is what the poverty level is. X amount of dollars a year. Triple it if you want. Whatever it is.
I'm totally in favor of this.
And then once you know that the kid has more than enough money, then it doesn't matter how much the other parent makes at that point. It's enough already.
Right.
The fact that they're dictating based on what you make it's just absurd.
Percentage to a cap. You're right.
Ask what state she got this $5 million.
Arizona.
Well, why don't we?
You can buy the state of Arizona for $5 million.
You can buy yourself a giant house there for $400,000 and live like a king. She doesn't have to come to L.A.
No. And by the way, if she wants to come to L.A. so the kids can be close to the father. Well, by the way, I know. Hey, Dave Singer, you live in L.A. Do you own or do you rent?
I own.
You own. Now, is your house more or less than $1 million?
It's probably. By now, it's probably right at
there. Okay, and you're raising 2 happy children,
yes.
aren't you, and your wife and the whole thing, and you guys are living a middle class lifestyle.
What you want, some
right?
apple pie too?
On
got
West
apple
Side?
pie?
Yeah.
West Side?
Yeah, right in West LA, right?
Yeah.
House is worth $1 million. I'm sure you bought it years ago, right?
Yeah, 2001.
Okay, so it's appreciated.
You got
over
your
time.
tax return since he
So
over
wait
here
a minute. What makes
on in
this
your
woman,
business?
Alejandra, formerly Alejandra Nash, what makes her more entitled to a better life than Dave Singer, who works and his wife works and are raising 2 happy children right here in Los Angeles in a house more expensive than most, $1 million? She's entitled to 5 times that and now more because she was once married to Steve Nash. It's absurd.
And just for a minute, what happens when Steve Nash, his career is over?
He adjusts the number.
And he wants to be an assistant coach in Houston.
The number gets adjusted.
Or in South Carolina. But it shouldn't be adjusted. They were only married, for a minute or two anyway?
Hey, once you say I do, some people take it seriously.
Let me tell you, let's say what a kid costs to make sure all their needs are met per kid. If you said $50,000 a year per kid. That's more than enough. It's more than most people have to spend on a kid. So if they have 2 kids, here's $100,000 a year until they're 18. There's a $1.8 million. Why should she be entitled to more than that? It's a completely absurd.
You're right, Max. And she's getting it up front. Up front. Go take a look at ESPN.
He got it up front.
30 on what happens to athletes, and it's a shame the way these scandalous women are using guys like.
Hey, man, don't be sexist on this show because there's women athletes out there too, and maybe their husband's not working, and all of a sudden they break up.
Yeah, no, but Marcellus is right, except that's generally not what happens.
But these are not general people we're talking about either. You're talking about athletes. You're
is
talking
that
about
a Langer's
top
call?
one. No, the Bob smoked that call.
Max and Marcellus, ESPN LA.
Max and Marcellus.
So the Super Bowl experience was going to be on BET, where they're going to have a freestyle between athletes and real rappers. So I was one of the football players they picked out.
ESPN LA.
Mic check, Mike.
710.
We get word. The NFL said that's a bad look for us.
Rapping, oh boy. Marcellus, we spent a lot of time marketing your Ivy League diploma.
And you're rapping?
On black entertainment. If it was wet instead of bet, if it was WET, boy, you could go.
Here are the guys.
All right, one more segment on Steve Nash's divorce situation. TMZ reporting his ex-wife is looking. She already got $5 million apparently. She's looking for more. She's looking for wants to move to California for child support because she can't afford to live in L.A. without child support. $5 million apparently isn't enough. Not to live in Beverly Hills like a princess, but Jason in Mission Viejo. What area code you repping, Jason?
I know that one.
949, boys.
Go.
Chill.
Look, at the end of the day, good decision-making comes from experience, which comes from making bad decisions and learning from those. In this particular instance, she's got to live with the consequences that maybe she made somewhat of a bad decision in that the marriage didn't work out. But looking at what took place, she comes out ahead with only $5 million, which is far better off than she was before she even made the decision. So the fact that she wants more, Max, I agree with you, is absolutely absurd.
It's absurd.
Well, first of all, if I'm Steve Nash and I've been Steve Nash in this position, you can't pay for peace of mind. You can't pay for happiness. And also you can't pay for the fact that you know that your kids are more than taken care of. Now, I understand because I'm not there on the day-to-day to facilitate where the money goes. I can't necessarily put my finger on every single dollar. So you gotta almost exaggerate it and pay over the amount that you probably should.
I just think
so
that
can happen.
That should be a personal choice.
I agree, but at the same time, I knew the rules before I partake
No, the
in
rules
a
are
relationship.
right. The rules are what the rules, but there are plenty of laws on the books that should be changed.
I give you
and
that, too.
And divorce law is one of
Well,
them.
then
Now,
hurry up and change. I got 4 more years of child support.
and by the way, what a terrible situation to put fathers in.
Yeah.
Where they have to wish away their kids' childhoods until they get to stop paying the mother money, till the mother can stop feeding off of them. Now, I understand that the laws became what they are now because once upon a time there were a lot of deadbeat dads, there still are, who were skating and leaving their kids and their exes in bad situations. And I'm not advocating that. There should be laws protecting the mother and the kids, but it's overboard. I mean, it should be capped. I don't think it matters. What Bill Gates has $50 billion and his wife isn't with him anymore. I don't care where they got married, where they live in California, etc. If she comes off with $1 million, the kids are fine when they're with her.
You know what's really sad? This is not a sad case. The sad case is when the mother and the father break up or divorce, and the mother doesn't have enough money to go to court to actually pursue it. The father doesn't make enough money where he's feeling he's comfortable in giving the money away, and then they just sit there in limbo because none of them have the resources to do what
it's the
we're
old
talking
Ray
about.
Charles song.
What's that?
You better keep her. I think it's cheaper.
Cheaper to keep
Making
her.
whoopee.
Where the hell that
I said,
song
you
come
ever hear that part where he goes off and he started? I don't know if that was Ray Charles originally, but I heard it on my dad's old Ray Charles record,
Making
live
whoopee.
in concert.
Whoopee. Who said
I
that?
said, now, Judge, suppose I fail. No, I said, I don't make much money, only about 5,000 per. He's exaggerating down. He's diminishing what he actually makes.
Right.
And then some judge who thinks he's funny says, I gotta pay 6 to her. I got 5, I gotta pay 6. I said, now, Judge, suppose I fail. The judge says, Ray Charles, you're going to jail. I better keep her. I think it's cheaper.
You're a dumb. That's good.
Randy in Fullerton, you're on with Max and Marcellus, ESPN LA.
Randy Watson.
It's Randy, 562.
Jim.
There you go, Randy. Go.
Do it.
What's up, Max? Marcellus, love the show.
Whatever.
I agree with Max mostly, but I also agree a little bit with Marcellus.
All right, finally, one
Marcellus
dude.
doesn't even agree with Marcellus.
I know, you dummy.
The point I'm trying to make is...
Wait till your ex brings this up in court. She's going to take a recording of this show. Even he agrees with me, Your Honor. Yeah, go ahead.
The point I'm trying to make is that, in some cases, you do have to pay as much, you need to take care of your kids. I do not agree for 1 second that you should have to pay more than what it would cost to take care of your kids. It don't take $5 million to take care of your kids. That's
right.
That's
You know what it takes to take care of your kids? At least one parent who cares. That's really what it takes to take care of your kids. You got one parent who cares.
How do you quantify that?
You can grow up in the projects, doesn't matter where. You got one parent who cares.
Right.
Doesn't just pay lip service to it, pays attention to the kid.
Agreed.
Makes difficult decisions, always thinking about the kid's best interest. It's important to raise the kid, I mean, that's what it takes to raise a kid.
Understood.
Well, I got married and I had, 4 kids, and, the wife and I were at a point where we wanted to split but didn't have the money or, whatever the case, and it ended up being that we wanted to work on things, but never in a...
So you stay with your wife and you
Y'all
raise the
still
kids?
together? Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, we're trying to work on it.
Too broke to get divorced.
Too broke to go.
Now, push comes to shove, if you guys aren't right together, you shouldn't be together, and you should do whatever it takes.
I disagree. I think if you have kids, unless the kids are miserable because you're at each other's throats all the time, you should stay together even if you're not happy. Like, I love this thing. I'm not happy. Well, who said you're entitled to happiness either? You had kids. Now think about the kids' happiness, damn it. That's what I say. You stay with that woman if you can.
Whether the parents are at their throats or not, you can tell that mom and dad aren't happy with each other.
That's true too.
They try to put a smile on their face. And
meantime, the kid still wants you with you. They still wants mommy and daddy together if it's at all possible.
Well, sure, and you always want to try to make that possible. But at the end of the day, if it's quite apparent that mommy and daddy ain't happy, they ain't going to be happy.
That's a good point, too. But this is what I have to say, Marcellus, about that. Once you have kids, you have forfeited your right to happiness. Now it's about the kids' happiness. people getting divorced because they're cheating on each other's nonsense. Oh, we're arguing all the time. We're just not happy. Wait, are you at each other's throats? No, but we're just not happy anymore. Well, all right, so you're not happy anymore. Tough.
Well, that's the first symptom of unhappiness, Max. And it continues.
Everyone's on. Who the hell is happy in this world? I love to say people's walking. You know, people on like morphine are happy. Everyone else is struggling. Larry in Temecula, you're on with Max and Marcellus, ESPN LA.
You ain't struggling.
Yeah, you know, I've got to challenge my own moral compass, Max. I'm totally agreeing with you today on everything. And I think one of the points that nobody's really looking at is when you start fighting over money in front of the kids, particularly in a situation like this, every time Steve Nash makes a little bit more money, his ex-wife wants more. What are we teaching the kids here? We're teaching the kids it's all about money. And where's the motivation for Steve Nash's ex-wife to go out and actually do something with her life?
No, not only are you right about this. This is a Langer's call.
So hold on. So you only motivated to work because you get paid, or that's one of your motivations?
One of them.
You just told on yourself.
One. It's a powerful.
Yeah,
one,
but you just told on yourself. There are a lot of teachers out there who are not motivated by money. If so, they wouldn't be teachers.
No, it's not necessarily true.
Really? They don't get paid. Huh?
The woman, Steve Nash's ex-wife she's not looking to make a life of her own. She's probably a talented enough person.
You don't know what promises he made to her in marriage, in engagement. Here's
why I think this is why you won Langer's. $100 gift certificate to the world's greatest deli right here in LA, 7th and Alvarado.
Because you're scared.
Check them out at 7th. You can park at 7th and Westwood. They validate, walk a block over, or call them at 213-483-8050. It's 483-8050 in the 213. They have curbside service. Deliver that pastrami to your car. $100 gift certificate to you, Larry, in Temecula, for this call, because here's a really good point we haven't discussed.
Yeah, I haven't heard it yet.
If the kids are old enough to understand a little bit what's going on, they're 8, 10 years old, whatever, they know that their mother is using them as a pawn to juice the father. They know it.
That's not true.
The mom got $5 million. They're straight. So they know what they know.
How you know she materialized that into their lives? She could have $5 million in the bank account, and she could still give the impression that they ain't got no money. Then she could play her dad against the kids.
Then she's entitled to nothing, isn't she? In reality, right?
But we don't know that. I'm just saying you can't say the kids know that.
The kids
they don't know that.
If mom came off with $5 million as they start to get older and they've been dragged into court and stuff, they know they're being used to juice their father. They know it. You had divorce. You know friends with divorce
and my
parents.
daughter didn't know at 8 years old, and she didn't know the particulars of that court case.
Does she know you're being juiced right now?
No, she knows she's living good, and she's living comparable to when she lives out here in L.A. with me. Which I like.
You want to hear your ex-coach?
That was the decision the owner had to make, that he was, I don't want to say forced into, but kind of felt he needed to do.
That's Vinny Del Negro talking about Chris Paul putting pressure on Donald Sterling to get rid of Del Negro. It's your team, Marcellus. We're going to talk about it coming up. Max and Marcellus, ESPN LA.